Experiment time. Today I'm going to try a new method of getting more oven spring. Turning your oven off. Hi, I'm Sune, and I'm a food geek. So about a month ago, I was invited to Simple Sourdough and Coffee's sourdough studio in Viborg to meet a bunch of other bakers. They called it the meeting of the Danish sourdough underground, which was pretty fitting. Everybody that was there were all of the people that either turned sourdough into a business or who were teaching sourdough classes. Simple Sourdough is the brainchild of Peter Jespersen and Anne-Sophie Brassen, and they make a bake-off every second Saturday, and the lines outside the studio are crazy. The rest of the time they teach sourdough courses, which of course are also massively popular. It was great fun, and I got to geek out with a bunch of people that also have sourdough as a passion. If you want to see the stuff that they're teaching, they started a channel here on YouTube in English, and their breads are flawless. Follow the card above. So while I was there, Peter told me something that he had uncovered. If you turn your oven off right after you load the bread, still steaming it of course, you'd get a much better oven spring than usual. Which makes sense because even though the steam helps the crust set later, turning down the heat would help that even further. So that's the experiment today, testing if turning your oven off during the first part of the bake helps oven spring. What do you think? Pause the video now and give your best prediction. If you're new to this channel, I bake a lot of sourdough bread and I make delicious food from all over the world. If you want to see more of this content, please join me by subscribing and ringing the bell so you won't miss any future videos. So the dough in this experiment is my standard experiment dough. 100% bread flour for maximum oven spring, 80% hydration, 20% inoculation, and 2% salt. This will be exciting. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider becoming a member at Patreon. You can also buy some merch or use the links in the description for tools and ingredients. Those were the words. This is the experiment.
This is not a recipe, it's an experiment. If you want to learn how to bake sourdough bread, I recommend you watch my video with my master recipe. Link is in the description. I'll quickly go through the making of the dough, but the important part is the baking. First, I mix everything for the dough. Then I leave the dough to rest for an hour to develop the gluten. Then I perform 3 sets of stretch and folds. And I leave the dough to rise to 25%. Then it's time to divide and pre-shape the dough. And then I final shape it. And then I put the dough in the fridge for about 18 hours. I will also test how this works using a Dutch oven. So I start out by baking a normal Dutch oven bread. I dust it. I flip it. I score it. And then I bake it. That's looking nice. Great spring. Then I take it out. And I let it cool off. Now the one baked with steam the regular way. I make sure the oven is not set to fan forced. About 10 minutes before, I fill a pan with a towel with boiling water. Then I prepare the dough. After I add the dough, I pour a cup of boiling water into a pan with lava rocks. I quickly close the oven door and bake it. Then I remove the steaming pan. That's not the best oven spring I've ever seen. After it's finished baking, I take it out and let it cool. Then it's time for the Dutch oven baked bread, where the oven is turned off during the first half. I dust the dough, flip it onto a peel, I score it, and then I put it in the oven. After I put the lid on, I turn the oven off completely. Then after 20 minutes, I remove the lid. Wow, that's great spring. Then I turn the oven on to 230 degrees Celsius, 450 degrees Fahrenheit with fan to finish baking the bread. Then I remove the bread and I let it cool. Then the last bread, steamed with the oven off. Dust it. Flip it. Score it. And I add the bread to the oven. Put a cup of water into the steaming pan and close the oven. Then I turn the oven off. After 20 minutes, I remove the steaming pan. Wow, this one has great oven spring too. After it's finished, I take it out of the oven and I let it cool. Okay, that's interesting. Look at the spring of that last one. It opened up more than halfway. Let's see what kind of effect this had on the crumb. Normal Dutch oven. Nice open crumb. Compared to Dutch oven with the heat off. And even more open crumb. Interesting. And the normal steamed one, not flat, but not great oven spring either. Wow, that is a tight crumb. The jam people will be happy here. And let's compare it to steaming with the heat off. Nice open crumb too. Let's compare them all.
So that normal steamed one was a sad bread for sure. I'm not exactly sure what went wrong. The one steamed bread with the oven off had amazing spring, so there's something to this method. What I found interesting was that oven off also seemed to give a more open crumb, so maybe that's something that I should explore in another experiment. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. I hope you learned something today. See you next time.